Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron.
And a special thanks to the members of the Roosevelt family who are here, and to one who is not, Eleanor. I know that because, as all of you famously learned when I served as president, my wife, now the Secretary of State, was known to commune with Eleanor on a regular basis. And so she called me last night on her way home from Peru to remind me to say that Eleanor had talked to her and reminded her that I should say that.
First Corinthians 10:21. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. When it comes to Halloween, it is especially important for you as a parent to understand how demonic Halloween truly is. It is an occult holiday where the demons are manifesting right before your very eyes. As you dress up your children in aims of having a great wholesome family time, you do not realize that you're partaking of something so demonic and so evil that can harm your children, that can bring forth a lot of demonic activity in your home, open yourself up for sleep paralysis and many more things. And we live in this type of a society where in horror films nowadays you consistently see them getting more and more and more demonic. I grew up in the era of Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and I used to love all of those films. I used to love all of those films when I wasn't a believer in Christ. But as you've noticed in many Hollywood films, the films have gone from that extreme to now the more demonic. It is the aim of Satan to slowly desensitize you to witchcraft, to slowly desensitize you to the occult. This is why the scriptures tell you, 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. It has been a slow indoctrination into the occult. In Halloween, it is especially extremely evil. Witches, many witches believe this is their new year. Many witches during this day are performing rituals, sacrifices, and many more occult things.
Okay, you guys, I just stepped into Spirit Halloween, and this one has Krampus.
I want that for Christmas in our yard. We could do a Krampus Christmas. That'd be so cool.
He looks pretty awesome.
I like that.
With his little hooves at the bottom. I've never seen one out of the box.
Yeah, it is cool. Look at his eyes.
You think Christmas, you think Santa. And if you think Santa, why wouldn't you think of a bunch of guys who dress up as Satan and try to hit you with a chain? Welcome to Amazing Austria and our first topic, Krampus. Here in Austria, Santa Claus is called Nikolaus and comes pre-Christmas on December 6th. And he doesn't care if you've been naughty or not, because he has a helper who deals with all the kids who did not behave. His name is Krampus, and he's basically the devil. Krampus shows up all over Austria on the eve of St. Nikolaus Day. He's often accompanied by Santa and some angels, and you will most likely meet him on events called Krampuslauf, where the whole village gathers around to meet the not quite friendly Christmas demon. Also, in some areas, he and Nikolaus go from door to door, so there is no point in hiding. If you've been talking back to your parents or not doing your chores, he will find you. Depending on the region, Krampus either carries a birch or a metal chain. And yes, he is going to use it. but still, Austrians love their Krampus. Therefore, you will find a selection of chocolate Krampuses in every supermarket in late November and early December. No Nikolaussackerl, the gift bag St. Nikolaus hands out, is complete without Krampus. And even if chocolate Nikolaus and chocolate Krampus are manufactured by the same company, there is no doubt that Krampus tastes a tiny bit better.
But the devil has tricked many churches, forgetting 3 John 11. Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good. He that doeth good is of God, but he that doeth evil has not seen God. And you cannot mix the holy and the profane just because your child is interested in doing Halloween. And if you can teach your child from a very early age the wickedness of Halloween, you train your child up in the way that he or she should go, because that is your responsibility as a parent. The topic of trick or treat. Study the origins of Halloween. When you study the origins of Halloween, you can take him all the way back to the Tower of Babel with Nimrod and Semiramis. I made a very detailed video on this last year, and I'll put a link on the screen for that video. But here's a slide from last year that I discussed. The horned god. In some Wiccan traditions by Simon, the goddess has entered into her incarnation of crone. This is the goddess that rises up in Easter, Ishtar, the queen of heaven, which God prohibits you from worshiping. But in this point in time during this year, Wiccan traditions, some of them tell you that she is entering into her incarnation of crone. She is the old one, the earth mother, the wise one we turn to when we need advice, according to Wiccans. According to Wiccans, she teaches us that we must let go in order to move on. So at this particular time of the year, during Halloween, the god at Semen is the horned one, the stag of great antlers, the god of the wild hunt. He is the animal that dies so that we may eat, and the grains and corn that once lived in the field before our harvest. They worship the god of the wild hunt, a god that has antlers. This is typical of Babylonian traditions. This is typical of Baal worship, for them to worship horned gods. And he is the god of the wild hunt. And Nimrod was a mighty hunter. Brothers and sisters in the Lord, Halloween, yes, we can trace him back to the Druids, but it even goes even further than that. It is very demonic to the core.
How did these ancient traditions survive into our modern era? In Western culture, they were preserved by, of all people, Christians. In a bizarre twist of history, as Christianity spread, it adopted and reimagined pagan folkways rather than try to stamp them out. This made it easier to convert pagans. A key pagan festival destined to get a Christian makeover was Lemuria, when celebrants placated the dead, culminating on May 13th.
Of all the different days that they have in the Roman calendar to celebrate the dead, it was the spookiest. So on the Lemuria, what are called the larvae, the ghosts of the departed, would come up and haunt people.
To quell the dead, pagan Romans poured milk onto their graves or offered them little cakes. But the church co-opted Lemuria in 609 AD, turning May 13th into All Saints' Day, a day to honor the most holy of dead Christians.
Setting aside this day was an attempt to Christianize this very pagan festival, and yet at the same time what it did was it kept a lot of the same themes going.
The Christianized version of Lemuria was such a success that church leaders made a decision that eventually gave rise to Halloween. They moved All Saints, or Hallows Day, to November 1st to drain the life out of pagan Samhain. Because Samhain fell on the night of October 31st, before All Hallows Day on November 1st, people started calling Samhain All Hallows Evening, the evening before All Hallows Day. This shortened into All Hallows Even, and finally into Halloween. And then, to be safe, the church went one step further, adding a holiday to honor not just saints, but everyday Christians. November 2nd became All Souls Day, a church-sanctioned holiday to honor the departed.
That's neat.
You got a little hand. That is cool. Not sure how much he is, but he is a big guy.
When you send your child trick-or-treating, the point of trick-or-treating to the Druids and other traditions, they believed that during this day that evil spirits were roaming the earth. Evil spirits were roaming their towns. It was a time where the weather was very cold. Crops were not growing properly. So they associated that with the dead. So what they did was, in order for them to leave their homes, they dressed up in costumes, in evil masks, in any type of a way to avoid these evil demonic spirits. But it went worse than that. On that day, they would actually leave treats in front of their homes in the forms of vegetables, groceries, and so forth, as sacrifices so that the evil spirits would not harm them. If you look at different traditions, it was even darker than that. Human sacrifices were involved. Witchcraft was involved. Animal sacrifices were involved, all in the name of these demonic spirits.
And that clown. And this one's gonna pop out.
Look at that zombie.
Oh no.
That's a good one. You know, it's so simple, but man, it looks good.
What are you looking at?
Wow. Ah, look at this one. Demonic. She is 200. Okay, she's gonna like grow and pop out.
It's like a Jedi.
They did not overcome evil with good in the sense of Jesus Christ. They did it with evil. That's how witchcraft works. There are a lot of people that turn to Santeria, which is witchcraft, to combat evil, instead of turning to the true power, which is Jesus Christ. So when someone knocks on your door and they say, trick or treat, think about the words alone. Hey, I'm gonna trick you if you don't give me a treat. That's manipulation, first of all. Aside from that, think of what you're doing when you're giving them candy. You're giving them a sacrifice so that you can ward off those bad spirits. Now, of course, you can say you're taking it to the extreme, Tally. I understand that you may say that, and I realize that, but all I'm showing you is the origins of all of this stuff. I'm not necessarily telling you that you're sacrificing anything.
Oh, man.
Oh God.
You put the whole sack over her head and do like the Silent Hill nurses with that.
I was thinking of Silent Hill when I saw that.
Renee Abelardo is a professional prosthetic makeup artist in the Philippines. When the pandemic shut down production in the entertainment industry, Renee didn't stop making masks. He started making them for a different purpose, protecting people against the virus. His masks are, to put it nicely, kind of terrifying, calling to mind scenes like this classic Twilight Zone episode.
Needle, please.
Renee says demand has been strong for his masks. He's received hundreds of orders and they sell for $6 to $10.
I belong
to Lady Gaga, the performance with Ariana, 5 wins including the inaugural Tricon Award, a whole lot of mask changes, and many words of inspiration to her little monsters.
I love you, stay safe, speak your mind, and I might sound like a broken record, but wear a mask.
It's just a mask, you guys. Don't be a jerk. It's for the greater good. It's just a vaccine, you guys. Don't be a jerk. It's for the greater good. In 4 months, the U.S. was transformed into an obedient socialist country. Government dictated what events are acceptable to attend. Violent protests that instill fear are okay. But church services, family funerals, and patriotic celebrations are dangerous. And you bought it without a fight.
Each spirit I've been going to is so different. This one has like where you can walk through it. That is so cool. Spider, you missed me, Spider.
Dancing construction workers, angels with giant heads, and whatever these things are. It's a surreal ceremony for the opening of what's been billed as Switzerland's construction of the century. Leaders from Germany, Italy, Austria and France joined Swiss President Johann Schneider-Ammann at the spectacle in Palladio, Switzerland, where a record-breaking 57-kilometre tunnel now cuts through the Swiss Alps. The mammoth engineering project links the stations of Estfield in the north of Switzerland to Bordeaux in the south. Work on what's now the world's longest and deepest tunnel started 17 years ago.
With a guest list that read like a meeting of the United Nations.
When you celebrate science, perhaps it's best to not get carried away. The inauguration ceremony included some, how should we put it, original choreography.
It's quite bizarre.
Aidalami, do you associate this kind of dancing with the inauguration of a tunnel?
I don't understand
it's leaving
art
you
enough.
speechless.
It leaves me speechless.
So the internet has been ablaze, in shock over what transpired in Switzerland with the opening of the longest and deepest tunnel in the world. Conspiracy research community and regular folk across the spectrum alike were in disbelief. What many are saying was the most open, satanic, occult ritual of all time. Even much worse than the 2012 Olympics. But it was truly shocking. It has definitely hit me to my core. When I first saw it, especially the end of the ceremony, my heart was heavy, and it's just difficult to watch, but I was reassured that after what I just witnessed, there's going to be some disturbing and bizarre times ahead, more than we've ever seen. That much we should realize. These Freemasons, these so-called ruling elite, they now know they can perform outright blatant satanic rituals short of literally sacrificing a human being on screen and easily get away with it. They don't care. They no longer care. It's just another indication that shows you just how close we are. We're in the final phase of a plan spanning hundreds, if not thousands of years. And if what transpired in Switzerland doesn't wake you up to that, I don't know what will. This ritual was a ritual for the unleashing of the underworld. Gotthard Tunnel, underground. CERN, underground. As you'll see in this video, the connection between this tunnel, the ritual performed there, and CERN goes far, far beyond being in the same territory and both being underground.
But there is definite viewer discretion advised because there's a lot of very disturbing imagery in it. Now this happened in Switzerland, near the Swiss Alps, air show and bizarre performance opens the longest tunnel in Swiss Alps. This spectacular air show marked the opening of the world's longest record-breaking rail tunnel in Earthfield, running for 57 kilometers through the Swiss Alps. The ceremony continued with a freakish show where some of the half-naked performers dressed as goats allegedly tried to express the hellish work through the mountain, or the fact that the gates to hell are now officially open. Let this sink in here for a moment. This is how the secular world, a Russian newspaper, described this event where 4 heads of state were at. Even the secular world states that it was a freak show and that it strongly hinted at and conveyed to them that the gates to hell were open. That's how blatant this show was, with the main performer being the dancing goat and other blasphemous references to Christ in this event too as well. They even parade around the lamb, and even, again, the secular world it was looking at this and saying, what in the world is this showing? This is so bizarre. This is a freak show. What are they showing here? They're doing this openly. Many blatant references to Cernunnos and Pan figures and satyrs in connection to parading the dead lamb around, mocking the Lamb of God, at the same time while the goat figure is dancing around, celebrating. All during this Cernunnos dance and the witchcraft and pagan occult illustrations they were involving here, with blatant witchcraft dances as well. They're displaying sparking forges and evoking video imagery on the wall, referencing hell as well. Other pictures from being in the forge, and the fires emerging at this time, and red flames, all this coming together while the gates and the doorways are opening, bathing everything in red. This event was truly disturbing. It truly does disturb you when you watch the footage of it. This was most certainly an occult event. And they show all the red and the bloodshed that is associated with opening the door. And when they open the door, smoke emerges, just like the Bible talks about when the bottomless pit is opened. Smoke emerges as though from a great furnace. And a train comes rolling in. There's going to be a portal open. There's going to be a dimensional highway made. And things are going to come out of it, like the Bible states. And we talked about just several weeks ago, at the same time as all these other events starting, how they were blatantly letting the world know the gates of hell were about to open. With the Inferno trailer with Tom Hanks, bringing that onto the scene in connection with a lot of other things we've been studying as well, prominently featuring trains in the trailer too as well, because they use it as a picture of time traveling, moving a long time as well, but then also as a cue card to look for other events tied to the messaging as well with the train tunnel. And we talked about how in the trailer they talk about being in the underground and rivers of blood, because they know all these are tied together. The one leads to the other. And they know there's going to be a massive release of shedding of blood. And ties in with the other messaging they've put down before with the Da Vinci Code blasphemy and the Angels and Demons film, which was filmed at CERN. All these are connected by subject matter. CERN definitely does seem to be part of opening the bottomless pit. We've talked about that before. And they're now announcing that hell is about to be unleashed. The mystery of iniquity is about to be unrestrained. And then just 2 days after that, they again prominently featured on Bing the gates of Hades being opened with their Orcus reference, referencing Hades, the underworld. And we've seen a lot more messaging in between that, but then just recently on the 31st, a commemoration of the Hell of Verdun using some of the same public figures who were also involved at the tunnel ceremony, Merkel and Hollande, bringing attention to the Hell of Verdun, and we talked about that, and with the lighting evoking their same color messaging. And then the very next day, they went to the tunnel opening where they commemorated Cernunnos and pain coming from the underworld and persecution and bloodshed, celebrating openly that the gates to hell are about to open. They don't need to hide it anymore.
I do want to reiterate here again and drive home the point that it is irrelevant whether or not we believe the Bible to be true, Satan to be real. The important thing to understand and realize first and foremost, if you are a non-believer in the spiritual realm, spiritual warfare, etc., is these people do. And they are literally carrying out an agenda based on these ideologies. This is the reality. So in order to understand the bigger picture, understand why they perform rituals such as this, you must understand things biblically and spiritually. Let's take a look at various symbolism of this ritual and break it down in terms of time and space, CERN, and the opening of what is called the abyss, as described in Revelation. These are aspects I've covered from time to time, and it seemingly culminates with this ritual and only further solidifies my conclusion regarding the real agenda behind CERN. So what we actually see playing out in this ritual is Revelation 9:11, and that states, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name Apollyon." And as we can see, the 9/11 memorial in New York, called the Infinity Pool, is a direct reference to Revelation 9:11, and that is no coincidence. It is a direct reference and representation of the bottomless pit, the abyss, the black void. This is what they've shown us time and time again, consistently throughout history in their occult structures and locations all over the world, 9/11 Memorial, Infinity Pool being a prime example. Even RT News wrote an article on CERN and revealed the quote-unquote curious connection between Apollo and CERN. Quote, "Now on top of all the speculation as to what CERN scientists are really attempting to do with their LHC, many observers cannot help but notice that the town in France where CERN is partially situated is called Saint Genès Poi. The name Poi comes from the Latin Apolliacum, and it is believed that in Roman times a temple existed in honor of Apollo, and the people who lived there believed that it is a gateway to the underworld. It is interesting to note that CERN is built on the same spot." End quote. So CERN was built over the ancient site of Apollo, aka Apollyon the Destroyer. The name Apollo was often linked in ancient Greek writings with the verb apollimi or apollio, meaning destroy. CERN's Shiva, of course, is also known as the Destroyer. With that said, let's look at the actual symbolism of the ritual. Let's look at the first part of the ritual, the obvious Satanism, and the worship of the angel of death, the angel of the bottomless pit. The Baphomet androgynous figure we see here, it's the Baphomet angel of death archetype with androgynous features. You can see male breasts, and that is quite disturbing, and it is exact representation of Baphomet. Here we see the green man is escorted out, surrounded by all the goat horns, and the green man, of course, is synonymous with Cernunnos, the horned god of the underworld. Moving on to the second part of the ceremony, where we see a display of projected images onto a wall or a screen, the workers form an 8-spoked wheel just before they breach through the mountain wall. 8-spoked wheels are depicted as time and space mechanisms throughout ancient artworks. They are synonymous with transcending space-time. This is why CERN's detectors, particularly the Atlas detector, is designed after the 8-spoked wheel, the 8-spoked wheel of time, because it is a time and space mechanism. This, make no mistake, is not by accident. On the projected screen, we see the mountain is now breached, representing the breaking of the veil of reality. The workers are then sucked into the void of a portal, where numerous specter-like hands are reaching out to them. Quite disturbing. Chaos ensues, and specter-like entities are released into this dimension. We now see the horned god appears in the black void, the abyss, coming out from the bottomless pit. The underworld is unleashed. At this point, we can now see the strong parallels between Gothard's ritual and CERN, particularly CERN's occult film ritual symmetry. Here you can see naked entities in the black void of the abyss is depicted in both Gothard ritual and CERN's occult film ritual symmetry. So after the collapsing of time and space, the merging of dimensions, the opening of the portal and unleashing of the underworld, we now see a clock is shown to be in disarray, going forwards and backwards, representing space-time manipulation or distortion. The same time distortion symbolism is also shown in CERN film symmetry. A brief close-up of the watch of the character named Lucas, which is a name that has been said to be an allusion to Lucifer, shows time going in reverse before abruptly stopping. Further exploring the connection between Lucifer or Satan and time, an interesting side note, in the film Winter's Tale, Lucifer, played by Will Smith, has a dialogue with one of his demon minions, played by Russell Crowe. In this scene, Lucifer informs his demon how he has no comprehension of the simple ebbs and turns of time, and eludes his understanding. Since Satan is also known as the serpent or the dragon, and the serpent is another variation of the Ouroboros, which is a symbol of time, we can see why Lucifer places so much emphasis on the construct of time in this scene. He is also shown reading the book A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, although it is essentially unnoticeable unless you search for it, emphasizing once again the connection between Lucifer and time. All you have to do is pay attention to what the media telegraphs regarding CERN. When you see Wall Street Journal, for example, recently released headlines such as, quote, CERN is seeking secrets of the universe or maybe opening the portals of hell, end quote, and openly discuss conspiracy theories and address conspiracy theories about CERN, you know the CERN occult agenda is real. It's really happening. They are literally attempting to crack time and space, merging dimensional realities in order for the unleashing of the underworld to take place. This is why they've injected themes and symbolism associated with time travel, dimensional travel, CERN, particle collider, time distortion, portals, dimensional doors, and so much more in our media more than ever before. On one level, people will dismiss any notion of the CERN occult agenda being real, dismissing the possibility CERN is creating dimensional doors because it was shown in science fiction. It was shown on this TV show or that TV show. This is how they condition the populace on a subconscious level to accept these scenarios as purely science fiction and not possible. But make no mistake, what is seemingly science fiction is literally manifesting in our reality. This is precisely why it is possible reality itself has changed or been altered, because when human beings are tampering with forces they should never be tampering with, opening doors they should never open, the result is likely something most humans cannot even begin to fathom or comprehend.
Alright, Crowley. Let's not waste our breath on formalities.
At once, sir.
Such a lovely boy. What do you want, Crowley?
I want your soul, of course. That is, my master wants it.
Do it yours. Give me my sister.
You're a businessman, Mr. Wayne. You know that saying something doesn't make it so. I'll need a contract, inked in your blood.
Oh, please spare me this pillage. I don't believe in Satan.
Oh, you're modern, rational, well-educated, a civilized man of peace and moderation. Of course you don't believe in Satan, but that doesn't matter. Satan believes in you.
And every year at WrestleMania, you got to understand, WrestleMania is always in the very beginning of April. It's essentially a fertility, sorcery ritual. And the guy who owns the WWE, Vince, openly ridicules and mocks Christianity. And basically is very, very pagan. And his shows, okay, there's a Monday night show called Raw. Okay, Raw, like the sun god Ra, but it's spelled R-A-W, like raw chicken. But it's red, and it's called Raw, and it's red. He has SmackDown, and it's a blue show. So he has this red and blue polarity every single week, you know? And then at the end of the year, well, it's at the end of the wrestling season, you get WrestleMania, but the wrestling year ends in April. So basically, he's celebrating a pagan new year with his mania of sports. And here's the thing. There's a guy named The Undertaker, okay? The Undertaker has now had 25 matches in a row at WrestleMania. I think he's the one professional wrestler in history who has appeared in the most WrestleMania matches overall. And not only that, he went 21 years undefeated right out of the gate. So he went 21-0. And then when WrestleMania 30 came around, he was going up against a guy named Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar is known as, in wrestling, as the Beast Incarnate, okay? And we're at WrestleMania 30, okay? So it's a 10, and it's a ritual thing. So Undertaker, the dead man, Death, faces off against the Beast Incarnate, okay? And the Beast defeats Death. And it's the first time Death loses at WrestleMania, the spring festival of rebirth, for the pagan psychopath Vince McMahon. The Beast is the first one that can ever conquer death. So we know how he feels. He feels like the Beast incarnate, Satan, the Antichrist, I guess, is the only one who can defy death. That's what Vince McMahon says at WrestleMania 30 by breaking The Undertaker's 21 years of being undefeated at the Super Bowl of wrestling, essentially, or the World Cup of wrestling, essentially. And then a couple years pass, he's 21-1, he goes to 22-1, he goes to 23-1, and then at WrestleMania 33, in Orlando, in Orange County, the same place that the Pulse hoax shooting happened and the Christina Grimmie hoax murder happened, It comes to Orlando in Orange County, and they have WrestleMania 33, and guess what? Now, The Undertaker faces a guy named, you're not gonna believe it, Roman Reigns, R-E-I-G-N-S, like the king reigns over his kingdom. Roman Reigns, And guess what? Roman Reigns is the second guy in history that now defeats death. Isn't that funny? So only the Beast Incarnate, Satan, or the Roman Empire can defeat death. That's what Vince McMahon wants to tell you. And now death has retired, essentially, I think.
Been talked about as an act of God. The Vatican, struck by lightning on the same day Pope Benedict XVI shocked his cardinals by announcing his resignation. The frequently stumbling pontiff has long stayed off rumours of deteriorating health. In this instance, he's caught napping during a moment of sanctity while visiting the flock in Malta. Benedict began his reign as Catholicism's mitre-wielding man of cloth in his late 70s. He endured a broken wrist and a very public attack, giving rise to concerns that he may become vulnerable after suffering a stroke. Just recently, and perhaps another sign from God, the pontiff's dove of peace found itself flying solo against a wall. The symbol of harmony and purity was then set upon by a vengeful seagull, leaving the faithful questioning the mind of God. Perhaps the reign of Benedict is ending not because of his age or health, but because he simply didn't have the cool factor of the Pope who went before him.
It's
That's
like
a cool one. I like that one.
it's like an adult playground with no children. There's nobody in here.
No, that's cool.
And I got the spiders gonna come and get you when you're walking through
I want the souls. I need the souls.
that. And Johnny Punk, he's a
I've
smart
been
ass.
waiting for you to come out and play. What took you so long?
So all these Satanists, they pretty much worship Lucifer. We're going to get into that a little bit later on as well. They perform all kind of spells and rituals within a circle with candles lit all around it. We are also going to talk about that as well. So these people, all they do is worship death, and they worship Lucifer. They believe that Lucifer is the good guy because God, quote unquote, which was in the Old Testament, on record, by the way, he had committed genocide, in other words, murder. He mass murdered a bunch of people. But yet again, the people had to also sacrifice animals, more specifically lambs, in order to, be forgiven for their sins. But then God in the New Testament gave Jesus Christ, his only begotten son, to us to die for our sins so that we don't have to sacrifice lambs anymore or even animals. So yet again, within the Bible, they believe that God had trapped Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and then Lucifer was trying to enlighten them and free them, and also that Lucifer rebelled against God in heaven, so he's actually the good guy. No, that's not what is actually, on record, because Lucifer tried to betray God. He actually tried to be just like God or even higher than him, and God wasn't having it. So then he fell from, heaven through the sky as fast as lightning when God had casted him out of heaven. So now all these Luciferians, more specifically the Satanists, devil worshippers, they believe that Lucifer is still the good guy and that, hell is this big party that when they get there, that's why you have that song Highway to Hell. And all these people salivating, especially at that, I believe, one of those music awards. I believe it was the Grammys or something like that, but it was way back in the day when you have Katy Perry and all these people salivating. This is why I call it the entertainment industry exposed as well, because all these people, the entertainers, are being used, whether they are real Satanists, witches, occultists, Freemasons, or whatever you want to call it, or not. They are being used to push the agenda that Lucifer is the good guy. We got people like Madonna, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry with her music video for, Chained to the Rhythm, talking about we are trapped in a bubble and we are living in oblivion.
Standing at a graduation line is a safety hazard. Small businesses were forced to close, but crowds to support the corporate money machine at Walmart, Lowe's, and Home Depot are okay. Come on! It's just a mask and safety precautions. How about a little hush money? Here's $2,400 that we stole out of your paycheck in the first place. Enjoy. Buy something with it from a big corporation. Cash is dirty. We can't give change. There's a coin shortage. Use your card. In 4 months, they convince you to use a traceable card for everything. In less than 4 months, government closed public schools, then restructured education under the guise of public safety. In less than 4 months, our government demonstrated how easily people assimilate to guidelines that have no scientific premise whatsoever.
So then we got people like Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. I believe this is one of the episodes of a themed Simpsons show by the title of, Tree House of Horror, which pretty much airs every Halloween season, depending on if they have any satanic occult rituals they want to portray to the children, just like how you seen here in this episode, which aired way back in the day, of Marge's sisters worshiping Satan in a circle with candles lit all around it and a pentagram in the middle. And of course, Marge, the good one, is shocked to go up into the attic to find her sisters worshiping Satan.
And then, Sam is over here. And they do have like the Pennywise. Oh, look at that.
Good. Oh, cool, Jack.
That is cool.
And all these children at the time had watched this episode. So we got this woman right here with the serpent, which represents Lucifer, because again, they use the serpent all the time. Marina Abramovich as well, the spirit cooking demon witch. So you see the serpent on her lap, and she's doing the Baphomet, as above, so below position. And this is something else that these people believe in. Pretty much they believe in it, like, because in the Bible it says on earth as it is in heaven. And they know the Bible. Believe it or not, they do. Even if they have their own Bible, they know our Bible as well, which is the one Bible they should actually read. And it says, on earth as it is in heaven, what goes up must come down, or vice versa. What comes around goes around. So then Baphomet is a goat with breasts and a penis, an androgynous goat, basically meaning it is half male, half female that these people worship and pray to. And then, as I stated, they also always do rituals in circles with candles lit around them, because the circle is the circle, but the candles are what is illuminating the circle, as you've seen at previous Grammys, including this year's Grammy Awards, with the dark circle. And then around it, you see a white light. It doesn't necessarily have to be candles and a pentagram in the middle. When Adele had performed See You on Hello from the Other Side within that circle, a reference to Lucifer. So they sacrifice goats, humans, anything that pretty much breathes within their rituals, within that circle. And then you see this little, room right here. You see the pyramid with the eye of providence, the eye of Lucifer. It is not the eye of God watching over the United States, because if it was, then why would they have it painted in blood? Which red represents regeneration to these people, black represents death. So as I stated, and you're looking at it right here, they perform rituals, whether it be real rituals or mock killings within these circles. And when they perform mock rituals, that's basically them getting initiated into Satanism, witchcraft, whatever aspect of the occult they are getting initiated into, the Freemasons, the Order of the Eastern Stars, etc. Whatever the Bones Club, Skull and Bones, 322, Yale University, whatever they are being initiated into, they do mock killings. Just like at the Bohemian Grove, they do all kind of mock killings by pretending to burn a baby at the cremation of care.
Look at me, just as all the others have. Now that I have you, your soul will be mine forever.
You don't want to wake up my mother. She's been sleeping for a long time. Can you keep a secret?
What's the secret?
In front of this owl that they worship, because the owl sleeps at night. No, it sleeps during the day and it stays up during the nighttime, which basically that's another thing that these people go by. As we, the normal people, sleep, they are awake, performing all kind of rituals and doing all kind of sadistic things, signing bills into law that we are otherwise unaware of until it's too late. The National Defense Authorization Act.
Edgar Reese. Who's you? It's the brilliant detective who sealed my brutish fate. Remember this, Hobbs? What goes around really goes around.
You have a safe trip, yeah?
It's on my side.
Go ahead! Light up my life! Criminals like Reese, they kill a few people, somehow it ain't their fault. But what took place tonight is the consequences of what I do.
You're home early today.
For a change.
Detective John Hobbs wants to uncover the truth.
What does Azazel mean? Now, my dictionary says that evil spirit of the wilderness.
Walk away, Mr. Hobbs.
But nothing in this world
Is on my side.
can help him solve this case.
There are angels. Some of these angels were cast down, and a few of the fallen were punished by being deprived of form.
Come on, get out of here.
And each touch
And at the execution, did he try and touch you?
Yeah, he did, actually.
passes the soul of a killer into someone new.
Well, I believe what I see, and I'm still trying to get my mind around what I just saw.
Some things, pal, you shouldn't know.
I know you, Hobbs.
Put the gun down.
I know who you are.
Put the gun down!
Is on my side. Hey, pal.
My work is based upon evidence.
And aren't your facts resistant to normal interpretation?
Hey, Hobbs.
You leave my family alone.
I'm still having fun.
Denzel Washington,
How do we fight him? Is it even possible?
I believe it is.
John Goodman,
Jonesy, you know I didn't do this.
I know that, Hobbs.
Donald Sutherland,
I know you know more than you're saying.
Haven't you done enough, huh?
Time is on my side.
A lot of people think that after his 25 years now, because now he's 23-2, and it's 25 years of competing at WrestleMania. His first loss was at 30.
How are you, sir? We'd just like to ask you about why you don't want to fly commercial. Why have you said that you won't fly commercial? You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons. Why do you think that?
No, listen to me just a second. Of course. Not the people. The main reason is because of the need. If I flew commercial, I'd have to stop 65% of what I'm doing. That's really the main.
Isn't it true that you want to fly commercial so that you can fly in luxury? How much money did you pay for Tyler Perry's Gulfstream jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business, but...
Isn't it the business of your donors?
Listen, I paid. You kind of caught me off guard here, okay?
Certainly. Well, if you'd like to come out here, I'd like to give you a chance to catch your breath and have a conversation. We don't want to catch you off guard.
I love Inside Edition. You got to get this now. Hey, you listen to me? My wife thinks Inside Edition is, oh yeah. Now, thank you, Lord. Help me. Let me pray this thing. We have brought over 100. Let's see. The latest figures just came out. 122 million people to the Lord Jesus Christ. And I prayed about it, and I thought, I'm not missing that dedication in Jerusalem. Without the airplane that we have, that I bought from Tyler Perry, and I didn't pay anywhere. Tyler's one of the greatest guys. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it.
You. It's you he wants. Your spiritual essence, not your company.
Alistair is just a very wise and loving man. A teacher.
In exchange for my sister's liberty, I have to sell... I have to sell my soul to the devil.
Precisely. You get my master's eternal friendship.
You're a smart businessman, Mr. Wayne. Think of that. Think of the power you'll have. I have power now, you fool. I could buy and sell the likes of you.
See now, there's the beast inside of you. There's no beast in you. Now be honest, Thomas. Tell me you didn't meet the devil.
Well, my question then, okay, all right, but I want to get to the demons because people are very concerned about that comment.
Give me a chance here, Inside Edition. I love your eyes.
Okay, again, getting back to the comment. You said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
When you are fearful. In less than 4 months, our government successfully instilled fear in a majority of the population in America that allows them to control every aspect of your life, including what you eat, where you go, who you see, and your toilet paper. And the most dangerous and terrifying part, people are not afraid of the government who removed their freedom. They're afraid of their neighbors, family, and friends. And they hate those that won't comply. It's absolutely terrifying to me that so many people don't question authority. They are willing to surrender their critical thinking skills and independence. They just gave up without thinking, without a fight. Do you know what's coming next? It's just a vaccine. Come on, it's for the greater good. Wait until you're told that you can't enter any store or business without proof of the COVID-19 vaccine. Wait until you can't go to public events or get on a plane without proof of receiving the vaccine. Don't think it's possible? Well, you already allowed the government to say when you can go outside, where you're allowed to go, and accepted a new unproven digital education for your kids in the last 100 days. You followed blindly because you were told to do so.
We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers.
Can you explain what you meant by that term then? Just explain, because it's really simple. You said you didn't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. What did you mean?
Well, let me ask you. Galatians chapter 3. If you belong to Christ, then are you Abraham's seed and heirs according to his promise. And his promise was great wealth. Glory to God. I love Inside Edition. I love the people on it. And it thrills me to get a chance to have my face on Inside Edition.
Thank you very much,
you,
Reverend.
Girl.
The 33-year-old singer stuns on the March cover of Glamour magazine. But it's her super candid interview about personal growth that will really catch your attention. When asked about the last time she was scared as hell to do something, but did it anyway, Katie revealed that she does it all the time. Explaining, quote, "I'm preparing to do a big soul overhaul very soon that I'm nervous about. I want to emotionally elevate myself."
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
They got you. Without a thought. Without a fight. Just like France. Just like Russia. Just like China. Welcome, comrade.